אפשר להשם צדיקים יבואו גבול זה.
Bereishit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, when God began to create the heavens and the earth. Rashi opens up his collection of commentaries on the entire Torah with this preface. Rabbi Yitzhak said, "The Torah, which is the law book of Israel, should have commenced with the verse from Exodus, 'These months shall be unto you the first of the months,' which is the first commandment given to Israel." What is the reason then that it commences with the account of the creation? And the answer is, "For should the people of the world say to Israel, 'You are robbers because you took by force the land of the 7 nations of Canaan,' Israel may reply to them, 'All the earth belongs to the Holy One, blessed be He. He created it and gave it to whom He pleased. When He willed, He gave it to them, and when He willed, He took it from them and gave it to us.'" This surprising introduction does not begin with the explanation of the act of creation of the world, but rather ask a question: why does the Torah begin with the creation? If it's a book of the law given to the people of Israel, why does it begin with the history of humanity before Jews even existed? And Rashi's answer is simultaneously genius and terrifying. Rashi lived in France in the 11th and 12th century. He lived long after the expulsion of Jews from the land of Israel and long, long before the establishment of the modern state of Israel. He lived through the First Crusade. I doubt that in those days someone seriously discussed the right of Jews to claim the land of Israel as our own, but his words turned out to be prophetic. "The people of the world say to Israel, 'You are robbers because you took by force the lands of the 7 nations of Canaan.'" Please notice that in this accusation, there is no positive resolution for Jews. When we were expelled from the land of Israel, it was declared to be a punishment for our sins. When we took it back, we became the robbers. The world never gave us an option for a peaceful and comfortable existence. And once again, I see this happening in front of my eyes. Like all of us, I was utterly shocked by the war that exploded in Israel, but I also felt something that I had never felt before. For the first time in my life, I felt defeated. I realized that I live in the world where no matter what I do, I'm in a losing position. This never happened to me before. You would have thought that this being the second war in my life, on the top of the war in Ukraine, which is, by the way, nowhere close to the end, I would be more resilient. But in reality, it was very similar to the situation when people see me shivering from cold and say, "Why are you cold? Didn't you come from a cold country?" Yes, that's exactly why I'm afraid of cold, because I come from the cold country. You can never get used to it, and you know how much harm and pain it can do to you. All my life, since I was a teenager and gained my civic consciousness, I was fighting one war, and one war only, the war against Russian tyranny. When our political opposition was defeated in Russia, I had to flee to Ukraine, and I felt that I lost that battle. I had a few happy years in Ukraine, too few, until Russian tyranny came there, and I had to flee again. Slowly, the realization that I probably would never be able to return to my home in Ukraine had sunk in, and I felt that I lost that battle too. Then I took my own brother from Russia and bought him and his wife tickets to Israel. But the war came there too, and who mastered the hellish plan of an atrocious terroristic attack on Israel on Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah. Russian tyranny once again. And once again, I felt that I lost. I'm so tired of being on the losing side all my life. I wasn't scared or anxious. I felt utterly defeated, which is much worse because it takes away all your energy to act in a critical situation. I wasn't feeling like that at the beginning of the war in Ukraine in 2022. I was energized and focused and very dedicated to our victory. I need to tell you that during the time of the war, all people who are engaged in it, they have like nicknames or code names instead of using the real name for safety reasons. So my small team of volunteers in Kiev called me as a friendly joke, Supreme Commander, because I never showed any sign of weakness or despair. So a few days ago, 2 days ago actually, my friend from Kiev messaged me and said as usual, "Commander, can we have a short phone call?" And I said, I think I should resign from my commander's position. I'm not a Supreme Commander anymore. I have no strength left in me. But he said, "Of course you are our commander, you're just tired." And then he sent me a video that he filmed. In this video, my friends from Kiev are packing medical supplies to send to Israel. People who have been fighting the war for more than a year and a half took from little supplies that they had and sent it to Israel. And the children of this family, they put the package of sweet cacao powder for making a hot drink and a letter they wrote to Israeli soldiers. And these are not Jews, just your normal Ukrainian family. And they said to me, I'm quoting, "Our brothers and sisters are in trouble right now, and we're not going to stand aside." I said, "Why do you do this? Israel was not always fair to you and barely showed any support." And they said that was the government, but people in Israel always showed us support. And that one act of people who have never been to Israel, barely have any connection to that country, gave me so much hope. If people who are preparing right now for a cold winter without electricity, heat, and water do not despair, and they find strength and are ready to help others, how can I feel defeated? In my bottomless pit of darkness, I suddenly saw the light. I got reminded of what I was fighting for people, for life, and for love. And this fight, we are never going to lose. As long as there are people with pure souls who are ready to give the last thing that they have to help people in another country, I can keep on walking. So the Supreme Commander is back and has some work to do. I think it's very natural for me to compare wars in Ukraine and Israel, though it's not very effective, I have to admit. The countries are very different and they operate differently. And not all of my experience is exactly applicable to the war in Israel. But I believe that the reason for the war is the same. It looks like it might be about who owns the land, but I think that this is the war of values and ideals. It is the war between people who believe in humanity, democracy, and equality, and people who have no moral boundaries and respect for human life. It is the war between those protecting their families at any cost and those who sentence their families to death. In the war between those who love and those who hate. This is the war between Russia, Iran, North Korea, and the whole Western civilization. Unfortunately, we are all in this war already. But I'm proud to be on the side of solidarity and compassion against tyranny and hatred. Typically, I do not tell people what to do in my sermons. I give you food for thought, and you decide what to do with it. But today, I will tell you what I think we all should be doing. Number one, do not wait for someone to come and solve our problems. Don't expect that the leaders of the world will save us. They led us to this reality to begin with, so take the initiative in your hands. We all have someone in Israel. Some have immediate family, some distant relatives, and some have friends or just acquaintances. Please reach out to them if you haven't done it yet. After Shabbat is over, only after Shabbat is over, I want you to take a piece of paper and write down the names of every person you know in Israel. And I want you to go through this list one by one and contact every single person. Even you haven't spoken to them for years, even if you met that person once in your life, contact them. Send them a message, email, give them a phone call, anything will work. Let them know you think about them. Let them know you care about them. Overwhelm them with love. Because the only way for the warriors of light to win in this war is to show love. Only love can win over hatred. Number two, when you contact these people, ask them directly what they need. Do they need money? Do they need clothing? Do they need a place to stay? And if they say, oh, don't worry, we have everything, ask them if they know anyone who needs something. There are people in Israel who lost everything, and more loss is ahead. Trust me, they need help. Number three, do not think that Israel has everything under control and doesn't need our help. The country at war cannot have everything under control. War is chaos by definition. If my Ukrainian friends manage to contact Israeli soldiers and figure out what medical supplies they needed, so can you. Number four, we all want to donate money, right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was hoping for more, like, yes. Okay. I ask you, do not limit your donation to the major umbrella organizations. Find a way to donate money directly where it is most needed. Ask people in Israel to recommend you a local charity, animal shelter, medical center, and so on and so forth. Write down the list of these charities and share it with others. Give your money directly into the hands of people who need it. Number five is very complicated and very important. Modern war of the 21st century is, first of all, an information war. The amount of fakes and lies on the internet will only grow exponentially from now on. And the general public who knows nothing about the Middle East has no way to differentiate truth from lies. Unfortunately, I see that our enemies are very effective, very, very effective in spreading their fake information. 5 minutes on TikTok, and I feel like I'm going to have an aneurysm. I do not recommend going into a direct confrontation with people who spread lies. You are not going to change their mind, but we should focus not on the people who already decided which side they're on, but on the people who are confused and lost in the sea of lies, also known as the internet. Share information that is coming from reliable sources. Always double check what you are sharing. You don't want to add lies upon lies. Be calm and firm. We have to show the truth to the world. And number six, if you are brave enough and you decide to take part in the information war, be extremely careful with what you might end up seeing on social media. The images and videos of the massacre committed by Hamas terrorists will scar you for life. This is not black and white, faded pictures of the Holocaust. It is a high-definition visual product that will make you feel as if you were there. You don't want to see death in 4K resolution. You will not be able to erase it from your memory. What is seen cannot be unseen. Protect your children and grandchildren from the trauma, and protect yourself as much as you can. My last advice: support each other. The war in Israel is not against Israelis. It is against all Jews all over the world. We cannot exist without Israel, and Israel cannot exist without diaspora. We all need support right now. We are witnessing anti-Semitism unprecedented since the Holocaust. Yes, there were times when anti-Semitism was on rise, for example, during the Yom Kippur War, but not on the scale of today. There are people who waved Hamas flags in Toronto. They pass around candies to honor sweet victory, the butchering, mutilating, and kidnapping of people in Israel. By the way, every time I spoke about Ukraine in the past year and a half, always someone asked me about anti-Semitism in Ukraine. Now guess, which country in the world had 0 rallies in support of Hamas terrorists? I will give you a clue, it was not Canada. It was Ukraine. So now you tell me which country is more anti-Semitic, Ukraine or Canada. Think about it, but don't panic about it. Just be sober about the reality and show love to each other. If you see another Jew in distress, offer them your helping and healing presence. No Jew should be left alone with their fears. We're only strong together. I want to remind you that this sermon is going to be posted on YouTube. Share it with people you know. Take the initiative in your hands and be proactive. I believe in you. You see this beautiful bouquet on the table? That was not planned. It wasn't planned for my sermon. This bouquet was brought by Olena, who works in the kitchen for us. So when you go to Kiddush, don't forget to say thank you to her. This is a sign of solidarity between Ukraine and Israel. At the conclusion of my sermon, I want to pass on to you the message from Ukrainian soldiers. Several brigades published videos in support of Israel, and I am quoting directly one of these, so please listen carefully to what they say. Our dear brothers and sisters, we, the fighters of the United Assault Brigade Lut, Fury, of the National Police of Ukraine, express our full support and solidarity with the people of Israel in their sacred war for the right to exist. We Ukrainians, like no one else, understand and share your pain and your anger. We sincerely sympathize with you and mourn the deaths of civilians, Israeli policemen and soldiers. Today, we're in the same trench and on the same front. Ukraine and Israel are jointly resisting dark forces and bloody global terror. We are with you in this difficult time for your country. Evil will be punished. Good will win. Glory to Ukraine. Am Israel Chai. Shabbat Shalom.